Hi everyone. Recently I think I've come to the realization that a very common problem that people my age have nowadays is procrastination. Why is there a thumbs up? Anyway, so procrastination, as I was saying. A lot of people nowadays are very influenced by external stimuli. And this includes things like your cell phones, you know, with notifications and things like that. It's very, very easy to get distracted. And it takes a lot more effort to put the phone away than to pick it up. And because of that, a lot of us have cultivated this really, really short attention span, like comical attention span. And because of that, we have kind of developed a fear of commitment to certain projects. So let me give you an example. I have a friend who is really, really into the idea of eventually moving to Japan. So I asked him, what steps are you taking to make sure that you eventually get your move? And he just replied with, I'm trying to learn Japanese, but it's very hard. Learning a language takes a long time, and I don't know if I have it in me to, learn something for 4 or 5 years. Spoiler alert, the time will pass anyway. So why not do it? A lot of us are so fixated on current stuff, like we want to read the current news. We don't want to put in effort to things that are very long term. We're very obsessed with short term gratifications. And this is something that I've talked about before. But yeah, I've just come to realize that people are just so afraid of sitting down for a couple hours a week and just dedicate that time towards something that they're a skill that they're trying to hone or cultivate that will help them eventually in the long run. A lot of people make the excuse of, I don't really have the time for that, or I don't know if I have it in me to do something like that for a couple years, or I don't know if the payoff is going to be there. What if I start learning and I just my plans change? Well, what if they don't? You're going to be 5 years down the line, you're going to look back and think to yourself, what if I learned Japanese? What if I actually invested in a couple hours a week to attend classes, to download the Duolingo app, or whatever, like self-study? What if I did all that? Then I would be so much closer to realizing my dream. And also, a lot of people have this really fallacious way of thinking of, I would be so much better if I started last week. If I started Japanese last week, I will be a week ahead than if I start now. And because of that, I should have started last week instead of right now. And because I can't go back in time and start last week, I should just give up and not study now. And it sounds really stupid when you say it, but I'm really sure that a lot of you guys, have done the same thing, because I have done the same thing. I wanted to learn the piano back when I was, I would say, 18 years old. But, as an Asian kid, my parents didn't really send me for any musical instrument classes when I was young. And I'm surrounded by people that are really good at the piano. So at age 18, I really wanted to learn the piano. But I was just so stuck in the thinking that I would be so much better at the piano if I started when I was a kid. And because of that, you know what? I should just not learn how to play it at all. Because why should I learn at the age of 18 when I could have learned it at the age of 5? You know? Now I'm 24 and I still don't know how to play the piano. And if I started back when I was 18, what I wouldn't have known back then is that I would have had 6 years of piano experience by now. And so it's the little things like this that really it hits you once the time comes. It seems like you're just brushing something off in the present, but as the years go by, you eventually look back and think, you know what, I should have picked up that Japanese textbook. So if there's something on your mind that you really want to do, go and do it. Do it or not, the time's going to pass anyway. Yeah, so why not do it? Yeah.